Ah. They making new laws every day.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna kullu rasulullah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadar Rasulullah. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah. In the name of the Almighty God, most gracious and most merciful. In the name of the Creator of our universe and the Creator of us. We give praise and thanks to God for bringing us together, those of you who are here and those of you who are watching. We thank God for the life that He has given us to see this day. And so I greet all my believing brothers and sisters with the greetings of peace. To my Christian brothers and sisters, peace be unto you. To my Hindu brothers and sisters, namaste. To my Rastafarian brothers and sisters, Jah peace and Jah love. And to my Muslim brothers and sisters and all other denominations, I greet you with the greetings of peace. In the Arabic language, Assalamu alaikum. You know, Salam alaikum, peace be unto you. That's the meaning of it. And that's also the meaning of all the greetings from our various scriptures, from the mainstream scriptures that we have in this country. That's the greeting. Namaste means peace be unto you, peace be with you. Jah peace and Jah love. Salam alaikum. And Jesus has never ever said anything else when He met people but peace be unto you, which in the Arabic language means Salam alaikum. So that's how we greet brothers and sisters. We greet with the greetings of peace. And we greet with the greetings of peace because we mean P-E-A-C-E, not P-I-E-C-E. They speak and we hear about this word peace, and we continue to experience everything breaking up in pieces. And those who have a peace, a P-I-E-C, are not willing to share a piece of their peace. But P-E-A-C-E could be shared. It is something that we always have enough of to share. P-I-E-C-E, we only have a limited amount whenever we get it, whenever we steal it, or whenever we borrow it, or if we lend it. We always need, but P-E-A-C-E is always with us. And so our detractors who are not in keeping with the way and life of believing men and women, they use it. They use the word P-E-A-C-E as if it's something that's formidable to speak to each other about. So they use P-E-A-C-E, but they mean P-I-E-C-E. It is so clear, brothers and sisters, because when we look at the war in Ukraine, we see them speaking about making PEACE deals, peace deals. How are you going to make a peace deal with me when you are killing my people? When we are killing and fighting each other, how do we reach the stage to have a deal of PEACE? And what is the war about? The war is about PIECE. That's what it's about, PIECE. And there are those who are on one side looking for PIECE, and on the other side also looking for PIECE. Not to share it, but to own it. And therefore, we are experiencing a hate war. Because I have to hate you, to slaughter your children, to slaughter your parents, to kill the aged and the elderly. It's a hate war. A hate war that is trying to secure a PIECE and talking about PEACE. Brothers and sisters, that is the democracy that we face. That is the democracy that we have been taught. That is the democracy that those of us who are supposed to be living in a third world, we did not say that we are third world people. We were told that we are third world people. So man has taken it upon himself to divide this world that he didn't create, that he didn't make, into parts and into people. First world, second world, and third world people. In this case, third world are the people who have got to follow in the footsteps of those who magnify themselves as if they are a first world. But if I'm first, then I have to show by example. And therefore, when we see the behavior of the system of democracy that we have been taught by the so-called first world, and we have adopted in our third world, we realize that the system is a system where they always induce you to look for PIECE. But while you're looking at that, you talk about PEACE. And when you're looking for PIECE, it doesn't matter in which form you're going to secure or attain that PIECE. But democracy, Western democracy, has taught us that whatever we do, however cruel, however terrible it is, however murderous it is, we must never forget to speak about PEACE. See, brothers and sisters, how important that word PEACE is. And when it was brought by the messengers, the spiritual people of God, when it was sent down by God to tell us that is the way we should greet each other. Assalamu alaikum, peace be unto you, means I wish you free thinking. I wish you freedom in your thoughts of me. I wish you love in the way you think of me. For that is the way I greet you. I am showing you with that greeting, Salam alaikum, peace be unto you, as Jesus always said. For Jesus never said good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. He said, peace be unto you, wherever and wherever and whatever time of the day. Which means I wish you well. I come with love. I greet you with feelings of love? And the answer is the same. Peace be unto you also. Assalamu alaikum as well. So we are seeing that the word P-E-A-C-E is a magnifying, electrifying, and energetic word that has a meaning that hits to our feelings, our soul, our thoughts, our energy. So big and so great is the word Salam Alaikum. So great is the word peace be unto you. And so great is the word that that's the word that they use all the time when they are killing each other. When they are eradicating among themselves, killing the youths, killing the elderly, and electrifying themselves with the idea that they have to get P-I-E-C-E. That's what war is based upon, brothers and sisters, that they get P-I-E-C-E and they talk about P-E-A-C-E. That is the democracy, the foundation of the democracy. It's like forgiveness. It is very difficult for us to forgive and not forget. And therefore we use the word forgiveness with the underlying understanding that I forgive you and I've forgotten about it. Brothers and sisters, in all our scriptures, God, in all our scriptures, God has never forgotten to remind us that he does not forget. In all our scriptures, you're always here. Remember the day of so and so and so when God is speaking to his apostles and his messengers. Say unto them that they should remember when such and such a thing happened. It is in the Bible, it's in the Quran, it's in the Bhagavad Gita, it's in the Ramayana. Say unto them that they should remember such and such and such and such and such an event. And that because of that, this is on their heads. And the punishment that they receive is because of their actions at such and such. God does not forget. But we try to portray forgiveness as if it's also linked in equality with forgetfulness. We cannot afford to forget, brothers and sisters. For any time we forget, we are in a situation whereby we are exposed to all kinds of manipulation and all kinds of evil. This week, I don't know if you heard about it, but in the state of Buffalo, in the United States of America, where there is loud and really loud racism for all the years that black people have been living in that country. But it's a country whereby you don't only have racism against blacks, but you have discrimination against Mexicans, discriminations against anything that is not considered to be white. And this week, a little white boy, 18 years old, went into a supermarket and slaughtered and massacred 10 black people and 2 whites or 3 whites. But his whole attention and his reason for doing that is based on racism, discrimination. Now, brothers and sisters, it goes to show you what our world is all about. And the same people that do these things are the people who would like us to forget. But when these things happen, even if we were willing to forget, we cannot, because the whole rhetoric is what is coming from over 400 years of slavery. You must excuse me, brothers and sisters, because I am of African descent. And so when I speak to you from that aura of my ancestral and my foreparents' attitudes to life and their cultural and the cultural aspects of their upbringing and their teachings. We find that when we hear about a tragedy like that, that young white boy, 18 years old, he had to be taught, he had to be indoctrinated into a system that made him think like that and act like that. You know, again, I just said to you before that the war in Ukraine with Russia is a hate war. You cannot kill babies and murder pregnant women if you love them. And there is nothing with love and like. It's love and hate. In order to carry out such murderous endeavors has to deal with hate. And so it's also a hate crime, just like the crime in Buffalo. The difference is that the hate crime in Buffalo has a different aspect of its in its entirety. The hate in Buffalo is specifically geared to the color of the people's skin. It's geared to the people who were murdered because they are black people. Brothers and sisters, in our country where we live, this same type of discrimination is here. And it's preventing us from achieving what we are supposed to achieve as a people and as a nation. There are many things, many projects that are spoken about and many other things that are supposed to be done to develop. We're still having a very rough time with electricity and with water as usual. But there are things that are being done that is being claimed for the betterment of the citizens of our country. But again, as long as there is a level of racism among the people, no projects will be successful. And if there is no attitude to making peace, P-E-A-C-E, then we are faced with a war. It might not be like the war in Iran, in Ukraine, but it is a war. Anytime we hate people because of their color, anytime we live among people and discriminate because of color, fighting a war. It hasn't reached the stage where anybody has gone into a supermarket like it was in Buffalo and killed a set of black people, or kill a set of Indian people, or kill a set of Amerindian people. It hasn't gotten to that stage. But it's there, it's at that stage, whether we want to accept it or not. Our religious leaders refuse to speak about it. But you know, sometimes, brothers and sisters, when we don't speak about something and we act upon what we think, it's worse than the people who show us that they don't accept us or they don't accept you because of your ethnic identity. Sometimes it's worse. And it might sound funny when I say so, you know. But when I laugh and I talk with you and I hate you because you're black, or because you're Indian, or because you're Amerindian, or because you're whatever else, when I hate you because of that, I don't shoot you, I don't kill you. But there are other things that I would do to make your life miserable because you're not of the same ethnic group as I am. I would gather my pieces. I'm still speaking about peace, P-E-A-C-E, but I would gather my pieces and I would share them among those who are of not the same color, those of who are not the same ethnic group, because I am not prepared to make P-E-A-C-E. If I am ready to share what I have of my P-I-E-C-E, then it means I am ready, I am open to making P-E-A-C-E with you. If I am denying you of your little P-I-E-C-E that you would like to have for you and your families, or for you and your friends, you and your colleagues, if I'm denying you that, and if I'm in a position to let you have your P-I-E-C-E, but I keep it away from you, then I am not prepared to make P-E-A-C-E with you. That is very clear. And once I'm not prepared to make P-E-A-C-E, the opposite of P-E-A-C-E is war, W-A-R. So when I'm not prepared to make P-E-A-C with you, P-E-A-C-E with you, then I am preparing for W-A-R. That's all it is. And that's the kind of democracy that we have been fed, that we have been taught, and that we are teaching our people, because this type of democracy is taught in our schools. You know, it's taught from a very small and young age, because the system of education is geared to educate us in the form of the democracy that is fed to us and given to us. So regardless of if you're a professor or a doctor, a lawyer, or one of these dignified positions, if you are attuned to the democracy that I have just described and that we are seeing every day, then we are not going to be getting anywhere, because your actions will never be in conformity with what you are preaching about. Your P-E-A-C-E would only be a sham because you are really looking and trying to attain P-I-E-C-E. And that's the way we have been taught. That's the way things are going in all our countries, where, however, a PIE can be had by one group and shared among that group, denying other groups of being able to get a PIECE, then we can never believe the whole shouting and chanting of PEACE. You will always find that the people who speak and chant about PEACE are people who are endowed with a lot of PIECES, with a lot of pieces. And they are the ones who usually portray themselves like the branches of the coconut trees, wide and open, and speak about PEACE because they have their PIECES that they would like to preserve and to keep, so they are able to share among their ethnic groups. And that's the form of racism that is a little bit different to the form of what happened in Buffalo, where this guy went into the supermarket and shot 10 black people dead who did him nothing. All that they were black. They did nothing to him, but he was taught that that's a way of life that he must fight for, and he must make sure that as many more can die. He is not the only one that is trained to do that. There are many more, many of them, and we see it every month nearly in the USA. And the same thing we are having here. We're having a system that is developed and educated in the form that our Western colonial masters have taught us. And therefore, brothers and sisters, as we go about our daily lives, we must be conscious of who we are. We must be conscious of what we are, and we must be conscious of why we are here. For it's not getting better, it's getting worse. PEACE is a word for the majority of people, especially the rulers of this earth, a word that is convenient for them to use while collecting and gathering their PIECES, their pieces for themselves and for those who look like them, who are like them, and who behave like them, and who support them. And that kind of system has no color, you know. It's a system that any country will use and are using. The system of oppression, the system of the Goliaths of this earth, who feel to themselves that they are as powerful as the Creator and the God that brought us into existence. But brothers and sisters, we have been taught Salam Alaikum, peace be unto you. And we will continue to say this to our brothers, our believing brothers and sisters, regardless of which religion they belong to, regardless of which religion they belong to. And so we continue to do that, and we continue to fight for the benefit of those people who believe in PEACE and not in PIECE, for that is the truth.
Man create his own monster, weapons of damnation and disaster, no sign at all of human rights. Is racialism so? And segregation so? Which way is left to go? I don't know. Oh Lord, tell me, what about love thy neighbor? Tell me, what about he ain't heavy?
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna kullu Rasulullah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadar Rasulullah. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah. Brothers, last week I spoke a little bit, and sisters, I spoke a little bit about, again, the United States of America. You know, the United States of America is a country that is a very influential country. A country that is influential in our country and in most of the third world countries. Therefore, what happens there makes me reflect, because I try to understand what are the religious leaders speaking about. What are they, you know, I haven't heard, for example, anything about the shooting in Buffalo, where 10 black people were killed. I haven't heard that anything said from any of the religious programs that I have watched since the incident. I spoke about it last week about the abortion, the women who are fighting for the freedom to abort their children when they would like to. Therefore means they're saying, it's my body and I can do what I like with my body. That's what they're saying. Now it's a very serious thing, because remember I just finished speaking about war. But here is another war that a lot of us are not looking at. The war between man and woman. We might not feel that it is a war, but there is a war. Because there is no forward movement to try to regulate the concept of PEACE between woman and man. That is becoming worse as well. Look at your divorce cases. Look at the courts. How many women and men are divorcing? The brutality, violence against women, violence against men, violence against children. Many times when there is violence against children, it's because of the relationship between the man and the woman. And so it's not working. Now they are in a situation whereby women are attaining positions in this life. And I'm wondering if men are not understanding that this is a war. This has nothing to do with love. It has nothing to do with PEACE. It has to do with PIECE. And we see that it has to do with PIECE because the rules and the regulations and the laws have changed in terms of alimony. For example, when you're married, what your wife is supposed to get, what you are supposed to get, and it's always a case whereby the women have brought it to a stage where they have got, in some way, the rights, because what they were fighting is for women's rights. They are not fighting anymore, because from the time you have to fight, because the fight is for liberation, it's a fight. When you hear about the women's liberation movement, it's a fight. When you hear about women's rights, it's a fight, it's a war. It's a war that they're fighting, and the war is being fought against men. For who are they asking for the rights to have? From whom? From whom do they want their rights? Their rights have been given to them from God. They all have their rights, but that's not the rights that they would like to have. It's the rights that they feel that men have, that they would like to have, and they speak about equality. If God wanted to make everybody equal, we would look the same. We would act the same. We will behave the same. God is a God of variety. Almighty God is a God of different colors, different shapes, different actions. And man and woman has been created as different entities. There's nothing equal about them. You might not be of my opinion, but I humbly ask you to listen to what I'm saying. It is a war between male and female. Because the female feels to herself that she's not satisfied anymore, waiting to be provided for, waiting for decisions at a political level to be made by men who eventually send their children to war to die for what? For a PIECE. Not for a PEACE, but for a PIECE. The war in Ukraine with Russia were not started by women. The war in Iraq, in Iran, in Libya, the First World War and the Second World War, let's go back, were never started and begun by women. And so women have reached a stage where they want the equality in order to have a better world, especially for their children, because women identify with children on a much larger and intensified basis. They feel for children, regardless of if the mother is white or black and the children are blue and pink. Women on a majority scale do not like to see children suffer and mothers hungry. You see? And this war began a long time ago. I mentioned it last week and I'll mention it again. When we were growing up as boys and girls, young boys and girls, when we get to school, there used to be sometimes in the class where the teacher says, calls out a student, a male student, and says, you know, tell us what our little boy is made of. And he says, sticks and snails and puppy dog tails. And then she calls on a girl and she says, what are little girls made of? And she says, sugar and spice and everything nice. And that's how we have been taught. And that's how we have been brought up. And the difference is showing itself clearly because of the attitude that man has taken in this life, with his interpretation of, it's not good that man should be alone. I will make a help. Now his interpretation is that she was made and created as a helpmate for him. And what he did was, if you are my help, then you have to help me to do everything. And he has made that help become an act of slavery. And so she has been enslaved according to his interpretation of, it's not good that man should be alone. I will make a help meet for you. And that is her situation. So she decided she wants equal rights. And now she wants to be liberated. She's already liberated. Her power now and her fight now in this war is her fight for power. For liberation means power. And when you hear the Women's Liberation, International Women's Liberation Movement, it's an international movement of women who are about to liberate themselves and to gain the power that man is supposed to be having. That's what the Women's Liberation Movement is all about. Taking the power from someone who uses that power to oppress and suppress and to punish, so that I will not be punished anymore. She has become a revolutionary, and she is fighting now to have the rights to abort. Brothers and sisters, if this is a war like I said it is, and like you see it is, the divorces, the violence against women, take it and we will see that it's a war. It can never be anything else but a war. It's not a PEACE. And if she wants the right to abort, then who would she be aborting? If she has the right to abort, then I want to suppose that her fight in order to win this war would to be abort as many men as she can. Because years ago, it used to be in the home a mystery when mommy is pregnant, or when my sister is pregnant. What is she having? Is it a boy or a girl? It used to be a mystery. And we used to be contented to wait and accept what Almighty God has given us. And therefore, we had very little aspects of abortion. Today, the situation is that you can know what you're having. You can know, you can get an X-ray done, and you can know a sonogram, you can know if it's a boy or if it's a girl. And if women in this war have got to fight to win, then all they need to do, if they have the rights of abortion, is to lessen the production of men. So, brothers and sisters, none of our scriptures have prescribed abortion as a legal entity. No way. I think in the book of Corinthians in the Bible, it's totally forbidden. And all our religions have never given way and leverage for women to abort their children, except if there is a miscarriage. This happens. But the danger is that if we do not understand, especially the men, that you're fighting a war, it's a war where women are not prepared anymore to subdue themselves to the decisions of the democratic system that has been orchestrated by man. And so they are in the state of liberating themselves. The only time that I am sure that you have not got the power to oppress me and to discriminate against me, the only time that I am sure is when I have the power that you have. When I take away the power from you, only then, when you say to me, let's make peace, and you're speaking with a forked tongue because you're thinking of PIECE. When I give in to that, I have learned, and that's what woman has learned, that it's just a matter of an expression. So they have stopped listening to PEACE when it comes to their lives. And the thing is that wanting to do an abortion and having the rights to do an abortion means that the husband or the father of the child does not have to be consulted. That's one. The next thing is that the abortion would be, in most cases, boys who are not allowed to become a part of the men that they are liberating themselves against. Brothers and sisters, I want to thank you for listening to me. It is time that our religious leaders understand that we are living in a world of truth, and the truth is the truth, and it must be spoken. And however you see the truth, you speak it. However you are inspired by Almighty God to speak the truth, you speak it. Because our world is no more ready or making a forward move for us to gain the PEACE that we need to live with each other and among each other. It's prescribing the whole concept of PIECE. And among man and woman it's the same thing. But the difference is that this power that she's looking for is to preserve her dignity, preserve her femininity, and most of all, preserve her children that she has to struggle for. But think about it, brothers and sisters, especially the brothers. If women are given the rights to abort, who are they going to abort? Are they going to abort the girls, the daughters, or the sons? The truth is the truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God. As-salamu alaykum.
Brothers and sisters, practical experience is the greatest teacher. Memory is the greatest truth. And ingratitude, ungratefulness, is the greatest sin. Remember that.
Breaking down is a whole big runaround. A lot of talk is what goes on, while the world is left to mourn. Starvation taking toll, weapons out of control, the atmosphere is cold. So cold. Oh Lord, tell me, what about love thy neighbor? Tell me, what about he and Terry? He's my brother. Nobody cares a damn anymore. All they got on their mind is war, war. Tell me, what about equal rights and justice? Tell me, what about peace and happiness? Hey! They making new laws every day, and those of the master they throw away.